Hindenburg crashed. It's the weekend once again, ladies and gentlemen. It's a special time for all. This weekend, we experienced the fanciful return of one of the most beloved horror franchises the world has ever known. Rio comes out.
So it's been a big week for things and stuff and items and objects. Terrible week for movies, but a couple of things going on. First of all, the biggest news probably was all this new stuff for Rise of the Planet of the Apes. A trailer, a 30-minute live broadcast with Weta Digital and everything they're doing for the film. All kinds of stuff. So now this movie that's been kind of mysterious for a while is now a known quantity, and the rape ape has emerged.
Apes! Oh, you want more?
Cutting edge commentary.
Bunch of fucking gorillas and mist. Stupid.
He is going after that helicopter.
Yeah, the last shot in the trailer is a I think we'll call it a monkey of sorts, jumping off of something on towards a helicopter to kick the helicopter's ass.
I would like to think that he has no ill will towards the people inside. He has no intention to bring it down. He's just so desperately wants to fly that helicopter that he's just leaping.
That may happen. I mean, like, these are intelligent apes. They may have a plan that involves flying around the planet.
That would be great.
He's got designs on that Sikorsky. He wants to Twilight Zone the movie around. James Franco is in this weird place right now where he's still amazing. He's still great, but he doesn't lend the film a sincerity, or you don't necessarily believe him out the gate as this somewhat brilliant mind. And Freida Pinto and he look good, but I don't know if they're the kind of people you want to carry an ape flick.
Also this week, big, huge reveal behind the scenes, about 15-minute look at The Hobbit. Great sounds. It was pretty thorough behind the scenes for something they're showing. They showed their kind of opening ceremony of sorts. They showed all the sets that they've rebuilt, piece for piece, Rivendell and Bag End, and some of the new stuff like the caves. And Peter Jackson seems to be in good spirits. He's not crushed and tired and destroyed as he likely will be in a year or two, but he seems fully committed and fully in the spirit of it. So I obviously was trying to shop it out to other directors. I don't see that as a problem. I think he's fully back on board with it, and it seems like they're recapturing the behind the scenes magic, which hopefully will bleed over into a good set of films.
Yep. I think it's best that Peter Jackson does them, because I thought Harmony Korine was a shitty choice. Are you excited about The Hobbit?
I am. I don't have any particular nostalgia for the book, so I don't really care what they take or manipulate or change or add to it. It isn't as if Peter Jackson is on a complete winning streak, so I don't have utter blind faith to his abilities to just come up with stuff. But this is a universe he knows, loves, and understands. And he's got the time and the resources to do it the way he wants.
You have to have blind faith when he's back in Middle-earth, though. I mean, it's not like he's doing the Lovely Bones. Like, this should be a known commodity. And if he messes this up, Peter Jackson is just, there's nothing. And if you want to use it as a segue of people working within their successful wheelhouse, I guess you could say, Wes Craven's got a new movie out. Fuck Wes Craven. Fuck him in his tender beard. This week you may be aware that Wes Craven is back, because we've demanded it. Fucking Wes Craven is a nightmare of a man. He's directed Scream 4. It's been 11 years since the last Scream movie, which is roughly almost the same anniversary as 9/11. I think I could be a few days off. But the comparison is legitimate. Wes Craven has returned, and he's brought Neve Campbell's minuscule chest, Courtney Cox's rapidly fakening form, David Arquette's burgeoning briefcase of sadness, and not one Liev Schreiber to be seen. If you're a fan of the Scream franchise, then this movie is for you. And if you're a big fan of the Scream franchise, I hope everything falls on you. You're not a Scream fan?
Not in the slightest. I saw the first movie several years ago, enjoyed it for what it was. I've never taken the time to... I understand that Jay and Silent Bob exist in one of them. Is that the case?
Think
in the
so,
third or
yeah.
some? For some reason, that just made it clear that the 2 and 3 never needed to happen to me, and they never have. And I don't.
This film, they comment on the Saw movies, like, the whole thing of Scream being the satirical, ironic, blah 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 about whatever the horror state is at the given time. So they talk about Saw, and they talk about Final Destination, and they talk about The Ring. They even they show a clip from Shaun of the Dead in the movie, which is like, way to coast on actually good products to try to get the audience's warmth.
There's no value to a movie like this. I mean, there's already been so many movies that have parodied everything they could possibly go after. I mean, you have everything from Funny Games to Leslie Vernon that have made these comments and statements on these films.
Which would be one good film, Funny Games to Leslie Vernon.
That would be great. And then even beyond that, you have the internet, which has become so adept at, remixes and these like mashups and YouTube trailers and short films and independent stuff that makes a lot of this, commentary anyway. So the need for these kind of films aren't even that great. And then even if you are going to do it, there's a film like Detention, which, we've covered a good bit on the site and isn't something that's out there wide yet. But that's a film that makes, that kind of commentary on slasher flicks a part of it, but in a much wider cultural satire kind of thing. And it's a really small point. I don't feel like there's the need for I don't think anybody needed Wes Craven to come in and tell us how it is.
Well, I think Neve Campbell needed him. David Arquette needed him, so fuck Scream and the pussy.
So, this week, we unleashed on the world, just unzipped and blew it all, a new Chud video podcast, number 2. It's great. I'm going to link it right now so you can click and go see it. It's great. It's 2 parts, because YouTube's a pile of shit.
YouTube is a gay cheerleader.
YouTube decided to do shenanigans, so it's cut up into 2 15-minute pieces. It has a puppet show.
It does.
Specifically endorsed.
By Mr. Bryan Cranston, a good friend of mine.
Great friend?
Lifelong. If
Absolutely.
my life started 3 weeks ago.
And it includes a music video, which is amazing.
Rock and roll happens into your genitals areas.
It has a drive-in ad that's great. It has great commentary. You should put it in your fucking face now. So check that out. It's great. Other stuff on the site this week. We had a couple of news bits that we won't really go into much, but you should go check out. Elizabeth did a great job covering Neil Gaiman, right? Yeah, his American God series is making its way onto HBO.
Which is also Homo Zod's favorite line. Neil Gaiman. Like a bowl full of jelly.
There's also a new Cowboys vs. Indians trailer that got covered.
The prequel to Cowboys vs. Aliens.
Good news, though, well, depending on your point of view, is that The Master with Paul Thomas Anderson moving forward with its billions behind it. And it looks like Joaquin Phoenix may be swooping in to take a role next to Philip Seymour Hoffman, which I'm for.
What do you mean billions?
Well, Megan Ellison, I believe is her name, which is a billionaire producer, has imbibed him with cash.
But not billions.
Well, she has billions, and she's given him small, tiny pieces of herself.
Because I would settle for a few million.
I mean, that's maybe what he's getting. He may be getting paid in vegetables.
Yeah, see, the thing, I don't like the idea of anything more than $20 million being spent on something where Joaquin Phoenix is a star.
Well, Philip Seymour Hoffman should be. Well, I don't know. Actually, I guess Joaquin kind of is the central lead through.
What's the general plot?
The idea is that Joaquin or whoever would play this young man, he's a wayward soul. He's drifting, and he hooks up with this very charismatic individual who is starting to accumulate followers, and then it becomes a full-on cult or religion or whatever, vaguely paralleling Scientology from what I understand.
So this is not a kung fu epic?
Not in the slightest.
Son of the whores.
At some point, though, this young man starts to question the ways of the master, and shit happens. And hopefully it'll be great. I think, I just want to see Philip Seymour Hoffman do this immediately. There's also the Inherent Vice, the Thomas Pynchon adaptation. I don't know which is going to come first, or Robert Downey's schedule, how that ties in. Fuck it all. I want things to happen. He needs to produce movies.
I mean, best case, this is Paul Thomas Anderson's Bowfinger.
Oh yeah, Bradley Cooper and the Crow. Fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's your opinion on it?
Yes, and the idea of the remake, the idea of the original, the idea of Bradley Cooper in a remake, the idea of Bradley Cooper in the original, the idea of Bradley Cooper not being around anymore.
Wow. You're not a fan?
No, I'm a fan of him. I don't want him to die on the set of a piece of shit.
Oh. Well, see,
I need Hangover 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Do you
and if
have
he's dead?
Do you have any sort of attachment to the first Crow?
None.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't hate it. I have no animosity towards it at all. It's fun, whatever. It's, the kind of thing that 14-year-old girls put on their wall and, do the thing for the first time.
And actually, 17-year-old boys.
That's
there's an alarming number of people whose film, their love of film was born with The Crow. There's almost half a generation of people who The Crow was transcendent for them.
And you know what? That's
fine. It was very transcendent for Brandon Lee. Because he went away. We
have not heard much from him.
No.
That was definitely a career killer.
Yeah, the guy who shot him I recently saw an interview with him. Because he's actually kind of got a new life on TV. He's
really?
He didn't mean to. It wasn't his goal. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up and eat breakfast and shoot the daylights out of Baby Lee. But yeah, he's kind of like a character actor, and he's kind of recovered from it much more so than Brandon, and has moved on. But The Crow is it's okay. It's got moments, and Michael Wincott is amazing in it, and it's good that David Patrick Kelly got a gig. And it's it's a sad story. There's a dark cloud over it, but the comics are shit. The movie's okay at best. And Alex Proyas, who is a guy that has proven time and time again that he is not a big deal. He is not a visionary filmmaker. That was what made him, and he built his career on the bones of a shattered Brandon.
But it'll happen.
It'll happen. Well, yeah, Cooper. Who cares? It's The Crow. They should remake that movie every year, and have a different, have a Neanderthal.
Well, I mean,
Crow.
Originally the idea was to sequelize it and do the type of fuck it.
We should start that rumor. Scoop Chud.com. Bradley Cooper out. Kevin James in.
Kevin James in.
We haven't named the show officially yet, but Andy Cosby of Eureka fame and Chud's own daily 365 Days of Sci-Fi column, and a super project that you'll know about soon enough, wins. So he gets a source code poster, and you don't. So piss underwater.
You'll see the debut of the new name the next episode, and it will...
And what films are we going to be hearkening? Some great stuff next week. Tyler Perry's I Just Shat God Out, and... the other one that I mentioned, it looks like a shit holocaust. Next week's Diarrhea in the Woods.
No idea. I don't remember.
Some movie that no one wants.
Tyler Perry.
But the week after is Fast Five, a movie I'm excited about.
That's going to be very fun. And we'll have a great time discussing it.
Yep.
Put it in yourself.
Goodbye, fuck. As you go into the weekend... a lot of people had their spring breaks last week. Some people had their spring break this week. I would ask that you be careful on the roads because I heard a rumor that the creeper is back out there. If you have the ability to tell your friends about Chud.com and even Guy.com, do so because we're failures. And we would like to have all the support in the world. And so as you go out into your weekend, I want you to think of 3 things. Taking care of your loved ones, fucking an old man, and rear-ending that same man. That's enough.